I hope you all found Oracle for Startups session really helpful. Now let's get this main stage up and running with our first session entitled More Than Meet the AI, the real value of your client data. Here to share her thoughts, please welcome Laura Mintandjian, Head of Products of SlimmerAI. Laura leads a team of product and tech engineers focused on delivering game-changing solutions to detect suspicious transactional behavior. She believes in a pragmatic and insight-driven culture, combining quantitative data and in-depth knowledge of customer needs. The stage is yours, Laura. Welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me well? Okay. Well, thank you for having me today. Thanks for that. I'm going to talk to you indeed today about more than AI. I'm going to be sharing with you how we at Sentinels are using AI to capture the real value of clients' data. Let me share my screen. There we go. So I build solutions for financial compliance, and I want to start by sharing some numbers with you. I will be speaking for the next 10 minutes. And in the next 10 minutes, an estimate of 10,000 alerts will be raised on unusual transactions. Transactions that could be related to money laundering or terrorist financing. But actually, 99% of them will be false positive. They're triggered by old school transaction monitoring systems that are not detecting any financial crime activity. So all day, risk analysts are working to check these alerts and close them as false positive. The worst part of it is that this is all for nothing because most of money laundered is still getting uncaught. It doesn't have to be this way, right? We can do better than that. If we really understand the data, we wouldn't mix these transactions with potential money laundering. And that's not just it. If we really unlock the data, then the same thing that would help you understand your risk would help you understand opportunities. So today, I want to share with you our journey, how we and why we think we are figuring it out, how we use AI to truly understand customers. People used to know each other, would help you make decisions about them. You knew who was trustworthy, you knew who was not, you knew people, so you would give them a loan or you would ban them from your bank. Truly knowing and understanding your customer means not only being compliant and understanding your risk, it means even better that you also knew who wasn't risky, so you knew who was a good opportunity for your business. Could you know your customer like this again? In this digital world, can you spot opportunities for growth again? We believe that AI has developed to a point where you can use it to really understand your customer. Technology is finally ready, and this diagram outlines our approach. We're building a full end-to-end solution following 4 steps. The first step is about breaking down the data silos. With better and more diverse sources, we enable better detection. We built an engine that cleans and structures the data. Our engine is a hybrid of these traditional business rules and machine learning. We focused on enhancing what was not performing well with traditional business rules. The result of the engine is building up client profiles with expected transaction behavior. And finally, there's the application layer, the one that the analyst will interact with. It's translating profiles into relevant customer-centric insights. So the possible applications are ranging from transaction monitoring and fraud prevention to credit assessments and marketing intelligence. This is our vision, and we're building a whole roadmap around it. Now I want to take a moment to talk a bit more about what Sentinels is exactly. We've built these 4 stacks. So the data gateway, the AI-powered engine, the client profiles. In terms of application, the most logical place for us to start was transaction monitoring. So right now in our journey, we are in the transaction monitoring space. And we are expanding the use of customer knowledge across these 4 areas. Sentinels is a solution that is dedicated to unlock the value of financial client data. We went live with our first customer in October last year, and in a year we processed over 100 million transactions. And since then it went also very fast, also expanding our customer base. And through this journey, we became very confident that this approach is right because of what we are seeing happening in transaction monitoring. With every data point we get, we feel more and more convinced that this approach is the right approach, and we're already seeing the results. We also feel confident because we have a history. With SlimmerAI, an applied AI product company, we have been around for the last 10 years, building AI products in various industries. Originally, we were a spin-off from the University of Groningen in the Netherlands. And you can see here that we have 60 engineers. For those who are working in the tech industry, you know how significant it is. Coming back to our experience with Sentinels, I will give you 2 real-life examples. They are real examples that we spotted in the transaction data. I cannot give any confidential information, but I'll share as much as I can. So we're developing our network analysis with one of our customers. This is a sample showing transactions that generated an alert in the last 12 months. Senders are in pink and receivers are in blue. The light dots are senders and receivers that were assessed false positives, whereas the darker dots were assessed true positives and reported to the financial authorities. It is quite fascinating how much you can learn from your customers by looking at their relations. If we zoom in a bit here, we can unveil normal relationships. Here, there are some transactions that were flagged because they were coming from a high-risk country. But an investigation on the merchant showed that it was perfectly legitimate for this business, as he's selling goods in one of these high-risk countries. You can also spot here senders and receivers that were flagged and reported for one very unusual transaction. But what is more striking is when you start focusing on some type of network structures that are a bit more unusual. Let's look into this network here. So it's a lot of alerts and also an unusual organization. These senders and receivers are all car dealers. It's B2B transactions. They kept on coming back false positive. All documentation was provided, legit, and numbers were in line with what you would expect for this type of cars. Now, when we zoom in, we uncover this loop, and that seems to indicate a VAT scheme. And adding the IP addresses here in green, we found out that a few of the receivers were using the same IP address, also using different accounts and slightly different names as part of this scheme. And you see these IP addresses here are linking to another organization. So let's take a look at this other network as well. And this is a textbook illustration of scatter-gather scheme. And in this case also, looking into it, we found a few senders and receivers with similar names, and we realized that we're all connected. We found it as is in our data. So knowing your customer, this is what you will detect if you understand technology. This is an early example, but you can already see it's going to allow you to really know your customer. And we've also used AI to take the knowledge of customer further. So let's see how AI can help you further. Here is another network. It's more a traditional organization, one merchant, many consumers. And what we're looking at here is a private school with expensive monthly fees. So every month we see this pattern. They receive high amounts from numerous senders, and it triggers alerts that are tuned to detect money laundering. These traditional business rules trigger here a lot of false positive alerts where it shouldn't. So we used AI to adjust and correct seasonality. Here is how AI can help you. You understand better the behavior of this school, and in a way that you will see if there is actually a problem or not. So here's how it works. The seasonality is modeled and used to predict the seasonal components of the merchant turnover. So we can disregard the seasonal components as an expected variation. And we only trigger an alert if the variation is still unusual when taking the seasonality into account. So you can see it in action here. On the right-hand side, the seasonality component has been removed. So a lot of the old false positives are not there anymore, meaning you don't waste time assessing them. But it also shows that you detect new abnormalities here that were not seen before. If we now tie this all together, you now understand this merchant better in terms of risk management. But the other side of the same coin is that you can use this knowledge. You can use the seasonality analysis to time your marketing and sales discussion with your customer. So this is what we do. Truly understanding your customer both save costs and drives revenue. And the technology is ready for you to do that. So yes, it works for transaction monitoring, but you can also understand opportunities and go all the way to understand where you can get new business, where you can get a higher return, where you can lower your churn. We are on this journey, and we believe this is the future in all businesses. I represent Sentinels from our financial compliance units, and we're building AI also for various industries. So if you're a financial industry and you would like to see more use cases, please get in touch with my contact here. And if you're working in another industry and you think that AI can unlock possibilities for your industry, you can reach out to us. We're building an AI B2B product in our Venture Studio Labs, and you can learn all about it at SlimmerAI. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, please don't hesitate to get in touch if you want to know more.
Yes, thanks, Laura. It was really insightful. Great way also of visualizing your work. So thanks for that. Here on the main stage, we're taking a short break now, but we will be back with you shortly. Thanks.